This is the entire story of the Joy of Creation story mode, explained in multiple detail and what is likely happened in the game from all the chapters, memories, one, the bedroom, to the last one, the attic. So, as we start in the bedroom, we play as little Nick, and Michael tells us exactly what to do and what to survive from Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. He does say what they do, so we have to keep that in mind for later when the night actually really begins until 5 a.m., where we start having an anxiety. So this is going to be an entire story of what is in the game or what happened likely. In the bedroom, we play as Little Nick. Sorry for that long delay, I just can't think of anything else to say. We play as Little Nick, who is constantly attacked by Freddy, Chica, Bonnie, and Foxy. So we have to basically survive the night, like obvious, until 6 a.m., which is in the nap already. So we constantly get attacked. I've already said that. So Little Nick is a small little baby, I guess, who another one delay, man, I can't remember what to say. Is a little baby that has to survive. Michael gets helped by him, but spoilers, which I will say what happens in the attic later on, who Michael helps to survive. The wife and the kids and Scott are asleep, so they're not awake and they don't tell what is currently happening in the game. Well, not in the game, of what's going on with Nick. So we play as little Nick. Obviously, the parents don't hear, or kids, siblings, whatever, don't hear what's going on. So Nick is trying to survive from the animatronics already mentioned, as they are constantly try to kill us, but the only one that won't kill us is Chica, who is like really nice. I think Chica's nice. Until 4 a.m., we start fearing up because we feel like we're about to die, even though we're not. At 5 a.m., we start fearing up and we really want our sanity really high. So then at 5 a.m., we don't die or get hallucinations. However, Michael did tell us that if we looked at an animatronic, we would feel kind of strange, which does make sense because it's like if something is real or not, which of course isn't really real, but they still attack. But at 6 a.m. we get a news. I forgot what that news is, but we do just get a news. And we have successfully survived the night as Little Nick. We are now in the living room, but however, we don't play as Little Nick this time. We play as Scott Carpin's wife. So the animatronics are the same, however, they are differently reworked. Chica is like an angry mother that will prevent you from staying on the TV to watch or pause Freddy and Foxy at the same time. However, she'll only appear at like a mid 3 or 2 a.m. Foxy works exactly the same as Freddy, but comes down a longer hallway. We have to hide from him in the doors. So then we survive Foxy. Freddy is the exact same, but he comes down a less longer hallway. We have we have to do the exact same thing as Foxy, where we hide behind a door to survive him. Barney will have hormones. If he's on his first, you start to see his eyes. If he does his second, you start seeing his body. Third is where he's really close to the door. The fourth is where he will attack. So you'd have to go behind any of the two doors to prevent him from seeing you, and then ended up catching you, which is giving you a straight metallic fist in the face. Michael tells Scott Carpin's wife that she is in danger, and apparently the animatronics were being mean to her, written by the kids in the office. Oh my god, bro. Yeah, guys, I am sorry, I just can't think of anything to say. So anyways, it said that the kids written by the kids that animatronics were being mean to their mum. Basically, Scott Carpin's wife is in danger, as Michael tells her, and that we have to stay out of sight, which is obviously what I've already told you about Freddie and Foxy and Barney. But then, at the ending of Michael's recording, he just apparently knows Scott Carpin's wife's husband's name, which doesn't make sense because she even says that when he was found, Michael never knew Scott's name. So it indicated something was obviously wrong with Michael. And then Scott Cawthon's wife is obviously left on her own to survive the night, which she does fear about the kids as well, because of the 2 years anniversary of both Five Nights at Freddy's, also created by Scott Cawthon. Scott Cawthon's wife obviously also worries about the kids, because she doesn't know if the kids are endangered. She also thinks she has to stay at the living room forever, but she doesn't until 6 a.m., Michael tells her. Which is obviously true, because if you're endangered by a monster, then why would you not worry about yourself? So if you're worried about yourself, then you should be worried about your kids, because your kids are endangered and have their life ended. So she doesn't. Oh my god, I can't explain the story. I'm literally already recording this with my voice. I'm already struggling. So Scott Cawthon's wife has to survive until 6 a.m. until the animatronics go away, so then she can get the kids out. But Scott Cawthon was still in there in the office explained, which I'll explain later why I've already leaked that. Until 5 a.m. we start fearing, and the entire building goes red as the animatronics are approaching us fast enough due to how much they really want to end Scott Cawthon's life for some reason. I have no idea why, but they do. Until then, Chica can have the ability to kill you if you stay on the TV for too long. Also gives you a cutscene of what actually happened. Until 6 a.m., I already figured these letters. Let me see. I had to see it myself because I forget, because I don't play those games much. So we basically see a letter, The Haunted Woods, or I mean, a newspaper of the Haunted Woods. So probably the animatronics came from the Haunted Woods. Then next, we're gonna move on to the office, where we play as someone else. We are now in the office. This time we don't play as Scott Cawthon's wife, or the kids. Or, I mean, not the kid, little Nick. We now play as Scott Cawthon, the one we play as for like 3 nights, with the basement and attic. Yes, I'm sorry for spoiling these already. However, he hears little Nick screaming. Wait, no, who else? Yeah, Nick. He hears little Nick screaming, so he goes to check on Nick. However, the door is open, we don't see the room. So then he looks back and immediately faints to the ground, but doesn't actually faint. I don't know why I said faint. However, the door opens, we see Ignited Freddy. Then he goes over to Scott Cawthon and then immediately tries to attack Scott, but Scott moves out of the way in time. Then when we get into the office, there's a little note written by the kids. He has a flashlight for defense, not really defense, but only used on Chica and Freddy. Not Foxy, sorry, wrong. Funny. So anyways, the goal in this night, we have to find 11 Freddy's and flash the 11 Freddy's by opening the door. And that's really it. Then he'll get scared, and then he'll move to the next one. However, not doing so by 5 a.m. You either still attack him if you have flashed him, or else at 5 a.m. he will kill you, because that is the only time you ever die to Freddy. So, in the voice recording though, he is defending himself from Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica, although Bonnie doesn't really kill you, but whatever. He has to defend himself, and he says, he can't let Freddy hold me down like this forever. So probably he knows Freddy is still trying to get to him. However, Freddy waits outside the doors because he knows he can't get to Scott Carson enough times, as much as he does. We don't get a note from Michael this time. However, Scott Carson is really confident as he does sound. He is upset though because he doesn't know how much of what is going on happened originally. He does say that whoever brought the animatronics there might have done this as well. However, he does say he wrote the notes to himself as well. So as we're progressing through the night, constantly looking for Freddy while feeding off Foxy, getting free cupcakes of Chica's, he does know that Freddy isn't giving up and Foxy does torment him the most because he scrapes the door and bangs the door while growling like an actual fox. He does say that it is possibly suicide, but however, if you have managed to find Freddy 11 times, you will pass the night. And then, wait, I already like what happens. So we are attacked by the same animatronics, but differently worked again. However, I'm already struggling while I'm recording this, I don't know why. And this is literally a story. So Scott does say to his wife and kids that he really likes them. Likes them? What the hell? Loves them, I mean. I'm sorry for saying that. I'm intensely don't know why I'm saying gay stuff, but anyways, Freddy, we have to flash Freddy 11 times. If you already know that, because I've said that like 3 times now. When we hold off Freddy 11 times, he won't attack anymore at 5 a.m., giving you only advantage of getting Foxy and Chica away. When we beat the night, we are having a report that says that an official Five Nights at Freddy's game is cancelled by Scott Carson because of how much the animatronics are really coming for him and his wife and kids. So with that being said, I think that was all of the story explaining the office. We now head into the basement. This time, we aren't attacked by the usual ignited animatronics. The animatronics have already lost their ability to look like animatronics. They now become endoskeletons, which work exactly differently. So first one, we have Endo C, Mouth, the one we can't get close to. If we get close to her, she ends up killing us. Endo R, I believe, is the one we can't stay down in the level 5 for too long. If we do, we immediately die. And this animatronic runs out like 5,000 miles per hour. And this is the one where we get the cutscene of what happens, which is igniting us, as well as when we have to ignite the animatronics props, the guitar, top hat, hook, and the cupcake. Then we move on to the one endo that we can't look at. I mean, we can look at, but only moves if we're not looking at the animatronic. That is basically self-explanatory, and if it gets too close to us, we die, but no cutscene. Then at level 3, the one that runs at us, which is Endo Foxy probably. We have to go down a long hallway. When we're halfway there, Endo Foxy spawns. Then we can't turn around, which there is a newspaper behind as well. When we reach the door, we will start hearing down his footsteps. If we are fast enough and actually click the door, we aren't dead. Then there are no different animatronics at level 2 and 1. Level 2 is like the most hardest one. If you have seen my gameplay about the basement, you'll see why basement level 2 or second to last is literally hard. So we come down from like the top from the office down. So then Scott Carpenter says he has a note and he calls himself Daddy for some reason. That they're here. He walks down into the basement but knows that they're not there. And then the computer turns on with the ignited eyes, and then he says, why have you come to torture us? And he really hates them so much for constantly coming for the family, which is a true defense to Scott Cawthon's wife and the kids, Sam, Nick, and Anthony. However, we get punched by an Endo who is Michael, as we now see why he is acting very strange and why I said at the beginning that Michael acts strange. We have to go through 6 levels in order to complete the night, which isn't that easy as it already sounds if you're a new player. So Scott Cawthon has to go through 6 levels of the Endos playing with him, which he does not like because he is, and it's also the second to last night before Scott Cawthon is immediately done something horrible. However, I will get to that when we officially go to the attic in the ending. Once we beat the basement, we get an ending with a newspaper again. However, when we're at level 1, there isn't the red thing, which I forgot to mention before speaking about the newspaper. It's only level 2. So when we beat the basement, we get a note of like a doppelganger with 2 children on it, which probably represent the 2 children, Sam and Anthony, probably, are the ones acting very strange as well. Because we only see Nick. Wait, no, we don't see Nick. We only play as Nick in the basement. No, in the basement? What? How could a baby get trapped down in the basement? Oh my. So, anyways, forget what I was talking about. Babies being. Ignore what I said about babies being trapped down in the basement. That is only Scott Cawthon who goes down in the basement. We play as Little Nick in the bedroom chapter. I don't know what I said. However, when we win the basement, we see a newspaper of a doppelganger with 2 children, Sam and Anthony. As we don't know if they're acting completely strange or not, which I assume in the game they do act strange. Because we're not the ones, we don't play as Sam and Anthony in the bedroom, we only play as Nick, one of the children that we also hear as the prologue scene happens. If you have made it here from this time of the video, you are the best person in my life I've ever seen. Now, welcome to the final night of the story explained, my friends. The attic, also known as like one of the most hardest night in the game, confirmed by everyone here. If you've played the game, or if you've seen, and I mean seen the video of mine I posted about where I finally beat it, and it almost took 20 attempts to do it, of me beating the attic, you'll find out why it's hard. So there are 2 new things here. So 1, there is obviously no more 6 AM, which is obviously done in the basement. There is no 6 AM in this one, only the golden, and yes, I mean, okay, wait, I'm not even gonna do the alarms. The golden Freddy's here are the only way to end the night. And yes, he is the most extraordinarily dumbest, and I mean the most idiotic character in this game. Because he can sometimes never appear at the cameras and behind you only. And it is like the most a P-take, because when you flash a creation, I will talk about him later. When you only flash a creation, he can appear, and you have to wait a couple of moments before the lever is pulled up, which is the most slowest lever in the game ever. Then we have the one to our left. The only lever there is to toggle between the 2 other cameras on the left and right of the other attic rooms, as the Endos try to come in our room to kill us, basically. Then moving on to the creation. So the only reason why we see the rooms we've been past, including the current one, the basement, is for the creation and Golden Freddy's, as the Golden Freddy's can only appear in the rooms that the creation isn't in. So say for example, like the basement, the Golden Freddy's can't spawn down there. as the creation will move up, and this is the one reason why I said something about the flashlight lever. Wait, no, not flashlight lever, the flash lever. As we have to slow down his progress as he will try to progress up to us. If he does, we die. There are other two angels as well that are running. So as by the angels in the camera, the left and right, they are completely silent. And yes, I mean silent. Okay, I'm sorry for doing one of those. They go silent. So what you have to do is notice the camera going black. If that camera is black, you have to look at them, or else you have to close the door on them before they come into the room and kill you. As we have to deal with, and Golden Freddy, who will be behind us, we have to look away, or else he will kill us in this night, and we are taken to a cutscene with the Tobias from there with blood on the floor, knowing that that Golden Freddy has probably killed us. So, in the starting scene, before we actually begin the attic, getting ready to know what we're having to do, and all in one action here, is that we are faced to a radio with Michael in it this one, and this is how we know he acted strange, is that we are put in a chair tied, both hands tied, as we find Michael, the one who was acting strange the entire time, probably possessed the entire time, only knowing that he didn't help Scott get out of the trouble. He only purposely helped Scott Carpin's wife and the kids. Only. I think he probably just has something against Scott. So anyways, he tells us that the only reason he does that is because he has been feeling happy forever during these nights, the basement, office, bedroom, and living room, is that he really wants to feel like that forever, and he needs us to die. And yes, I mean that. So, we have to face so many animatronics, and he says the only reason they can't directly kill us is because they had their bodies, like, taken off them, I think. And they gathered themselves directly in the basement the last night we played against. However, and here are the things that change in this night. So, number one, the two Golden Freddys, if you flash them, the basement will be on fire. About like 3 to 4 to 5, the living room will be on fire. I think that was 5 only, no 4. At number 5 to 6, what is it now? The bedroom will start burning. The creation probably wouldn't have progressed up yet, or just immediately entered his way to the living room or bedroom if you haven't flashed him enough times to find a Golden Freddy. Then, like about, I got to counting about 6 to, okay, I am not going to say this next number because I know what y'all are going to be thinking about the 16. So anyways, about 6 to another number, the office will start to burn. Probably almost the time the creation of multi-leg and combined everything in one thing will probably would have got up, unless it's probably 8 to 9, 8 to 10. Until then, 8 to 10, the attic will start to burn. So this indicates you have 2 more Golden Freddys left to find. Unless it's like 12, because in one of the game over screens, it does say that you have to find Golden Freddy 12 times, so I think I might have counted 10 wrong. 8 to 9 is when the attic starts burning, so we know when we're close to the night ending. And just get straight to the ending. The ending is the final newspaper. The newspaper is said that a man was found dead in his house, so it was probably Scott Carpin. Now, I did show the ending in my recording, so I will speak about the ending. The ending is where Scott Carpin is like immediately broken off the chair and to immediately start crawling But okay, I need to really improve my voice. So, anyways, then he will start calling around, trying to get to the out of the attic. However, Michael is saying to us that we really love our family. So wait, what? So Scott Cawthon doesn't say anything, but he really wants to live. And Michael starts repeating after us, like what we've been saying. Make it to the end of the night by reaching 6 a.m. However, he says that the night doesn't end until Scott has been consumed by fire. At first, I thought he was about to say until you've been consumed by one of the endos or animatronics. Then, after, when he looks down because he was dying, and a glowing eye man, probably Michael, captures Scott, is why I think he's screaming no. And then after that, we get taken to the outside with Scott Cawthon's wife and the little Nick, I think it is talking about Scott coming out. So Scott came out and he and bruh, I seriously need to know what I'm saying. So then Scott actually doesn't come out the house because I don't know that because we don't get to see if Scott actually came out the house. He says to Scott Cawthon's wife that he's there, and Scott Cawthon's wife was so worried that he was still there. However, then Scott says, "You are safe. Did you call 911?" Which "you are safe" is probably it. And I seriously, bro, I struggle with what I'm saying. So Scott probably didn't make it out because later on he says he repeats you're safe and that's all that matters. But I am sorry if I don't keep speaking or do long cuts. It is sincerely my apologies. So anyway, the kid was worried about home. The kid is like, "Daddy, what's happening home? Why is it all burning?" We don't know who's caused the burning, but in the Tobias prologue scene, he got the house. Then Scott Cawthon immediately acts strange and keeps repeating, "You are safe, and that's all that matters." The reason for that is probably something has happened to him. By most YouTubers, I haven't watched all of the YouTubers play this game for the ending. People probably say that he's been skinned and turned into an animatronic. Even the kid and Scott Cawthon's wife notices that. Then until the end, he says, "See, they are safe just like you wanted. Thank you for your cooperation, Scott Cawthon." So probably Scott Cawthon didn't make it out alive. And now there's like an animatronic Scott Cawthon. Then we are immediately taken to the credits, including the voices. I feel like the voice actress was so cool in this game. However, okay, wait, I know this is... So I want to talk about what happens to the main screen, selecting the memories. Then we get extras, we get a look at the ignited animatronics, including the creation, which we see multiple times in the night due to it not ending and flashing him. We also get to see the endos from the basement, as well as 3 different things: the bedroom blind mode, the basement run mode, and survival mode. I will talk about these in the next one. So anyways, if you have made it to the end, then congratulations. This is now the end of the full story explained video, like what everyone else does. And I will see you all later when I'll probably do the explanation of what the extras do.